Welcome to the webinar. Hello everyone, my name is Jerry and I'm a part of the Sharda Baker team. I'm very well pleased to welcome you all to another Sharda Baker's Dog World webinar. Before we start the actual webinar content, a little bit of housekeeping. Some of you may not have been to a webinar like this before, so just to explain, there is a chat window at the top right hand corner which keeps hiding. To activate it, simply click on the small red arrow and the chat box will appear. There is a section at the bottom of this chat window where you can type in text, so please say hello and let us know what type of dog breed you have to make sure everything is working properly. You can also add any questions you may have in here during the webinar, and depending on time, we will either answer some of them at the end of the webinar or collate them together and answer them on the upcoming webinar next week. So, what's coming up today in today's training? Teaching the come command, how to teach the come command, assuming a role, teaching the come command to the stubborn dog, and the most common mistakes in teaching the come command. Teaching the come command. The come command is probably the most important command that you could teach your dog. Teach your dog to come when you call it, not when it wants to. The simple fact is that dog will at times run away. The moment you open the door, they have a tendency to dart right out it. They are prone to chasing other dogs, cats, squirrels, you name it, and a dog is likely to chase it. If a noise frightens them, they will begin to run and never even think to look out for traffic. You can yell all you like, but if your dog is not well trained for the come command, you could end up with a number of problems on your hands. First, you're likely to spend the next 30 minutes chasing and yelling for your dog. Second, your dog could be put in a dangerous situation where he could be hurt or get injured. You can avoid these types of situations by ensuring that your dog is well trained and, most importantly, he understands and will respond to the come command. Teaching your dog to come when you call it or call for him is the single most important thing you can do to ensure his safety and your peace of mind. Unfortunately, many pet owners see the prospect of training their dog to come on command as quite daunting. The good news is that it does not have to be daunting at all. With a bit of time and patience, as well as good quality dog training resources, the entire process can be successful. How to teach the come command. Sorry about that. There's a little bit of delay here. All right. The first thing you need to know about teaching the come command is the importance of dedicating time to it. You cannot expect your dog to learn the come command in one training session. As we discussed previously, dogs do not have a long-term memory. They have short attention spans, or they have short attention spans rather, and you will need to work with your dog every day, but keep the training sessions short. Essentially, you will need to teach your dog to come at your command a little bit at a time. For example, you might start by teaching your dog to come to you on command when you are just a short distance away from him. Little by little, you can then build that up to even longer distances. In addition, you need to make sure that you start out training your dog and teaching him the come command while he is on leash. You should absolutely not let your dog off the leash when you are teaching the come command. This is particularly important if you are in an open public area such as a park. You just never know when your dog may see something that will catch his fancy and he will dart away from you. Even if you're at home, you may have an urge to let him off the leash, but this should be avoided. Even if your yard is fenced, it is important to keep the leash on so that you can reinforce the command and the training if your dog proves to be somewhat stubborn. So, keep that leash on. Consistency is vital when teaching a dog any command. That is true with the come command as well. You should set aside some time to work with your dog on a daily basis to teach this command. There may be some days when you simply can't make the training appointment, but don't try to make up for it another day. Keep those training sessions short, and the idea is that you will be establishing a routine that will over time establish a new way of thinking of your pet. In the beginning, as mentioned, you are going to start out using short distances, but once your pet has mastered that, you will be able to extend it to further distances. This will establish a new rule for your pet so that he or she will understand that they must always come at your command regardless of the situation or where you happen to be. As a result, regardless of whether you are at home, you are out among other dogs and other people, whatever the situation may be, your dog will respond to the come command. We discussed in the first section that while your dog's recall memory is relatively short, his associative memory is much longer. Before we get into the actual step-by-step process of teaching the come command, it is important to point out that in the beginning, you should only use the come command for positive experiences. This is an important point to remember. If you use the come command when you are first training your dog to point out some mess or accident that your pet no longer even remembers making, then the only thing that is going to be accomplished is that your dog will associate the come command with something negative. As a result, the next time you try to use the come command, your dog will probably ignore you. Sorry about that. So, only use the come command for positive experiences in the beginning, such as to praise your dog or provide a reward. Begin by standing on the other side of a room or about 10 feet away from your dog. Say, come. Or you could even add to your dog's name, if you wish, Spot, come. You always want to make sure that you end the training session on a positive note. He has come all the way up to you. Be sure to praise him enthusiastically. You make sure you wait until he has come all the way up to you. Do not praise him when he is only halfway there. If you do, he will think that is acceptable. Do the process as frequently as possible. Make sure you do not tire him out by extending the training session too long. 10 to 15 minutes is usually the length of time for a training session. If you extend the, I'm sorry guys, got a little bit lost there. So yeah, if you do extend the training session for too long, your dog becomes tired and things can go downhill quickly, and next time he might not even have such a positive attitude about training. The moment you see that your dog is losing interest or is becoming tired, end the training session right there and then. Once your dog is consistently coming at your command from the same distance, you can begin to lengthen the distance. If you're training indoors, try going to another room and calling, Spot, come. Or if you're training outside, extend the distance to about 15 feet. Keep in mind that you always need to have some type of positive reward waiting for your dog or puppy when he comes to you. You can use treats, but you do not have to. Verbal praise as well as a rub on the belly work just as fine. Assuming the alpha role. One element that you may also find helpful in teaching the come command, especially to a stubborn dog, is to make sure that you have assumed the alpha role. We have discussed this briefly in a previous session. Dogs naturally will either follow in the footsteps of the alpha leader, or they will assume the alpha role if it is absent. If you are experiencing problems with your dog being resistant to training, it could be that he or she has assumed the alpha role. If that is the case, you will need to teach your dog that you are in this role so that they will begin to respect you and respond accordingly. A large portion of assuming the alpha role lies in simply the attitude that you take. The alpha has an air of authority and confidence. It should be understood that assuming the alpha role is never about being aggressive. Instead, it is an attitude that is firm and loving, but tough. Once you assume this type of attitude, most dogs will respond accordingly with the submission because they will recognize that you are in the alpha position. Keep in mind that your dog will automatically sense if you are uncomfortable or insecure. As a result, he likely will respond or won't respond to your commands. If you want him to respond, you need to assume the alpha position so that he does not. When working with your dog, make sure you stand tall and exude an air of confidence. Take note of the tone of your voice you use with your dog. Make sure it is firm and deep. You also need to make sure that you are telling your dog what to do rather than asking him to do something. There is a distinctive difference between asking and telling. You can rest assured that your dog knows that difference and will recognize it. As the alpha, it is your right not only to make the rules but also give the orders. When you assume the alpha role, your dog will instinctively understand that. If you have a dog that seems to have taken over the entire household, it is extremely critical that you do not delay in assuming the alpha role. Your relationship with your dog and your entire household will be better off, or will be better for it. Most dogs who assume the alpha position over their owners will reinforce that position by biting or growling. If they are allowed to get away with it, they will continue to display that kind of behavior. This kind of behavior could be disruptive, dangerous, and counterproductive to training. If you want to have that kind of dog that respects your authority as master, then you must resume the alpha position. Teaching the come command to a stubborn dog. The training method just described works well for both puppies as well as adult dogs. There may be times, however, when you find that your dog simply does not respond well as you had hoped. Some dogs, just like people, can be somewhat stubborn. These dogs can take longer to train. You can do it, but you will need to be patient and realize the process will take longer. When teaching the come command to a stubborn dog, it is more important than ever to make sure that you have him on a leash and collar. This method can be used to reinforce the behavior that you desire from your dog. Remember that until you are absolutely sure you can trust your dog 100% of the time, which may take a year or longer, you should not let your dog off the leash in a public area. If you see that your dog is not responding when you are training, you can actually utilize the leash to reinforce the command. By no means should you drag your dog on the leash. Instead, you could use short or sharp pops or jerks of the leash in order to encourage your dog to come. Make sure that you alternate the pops of the leash with an ample amount of slack so that you do not accidentally drag your dog or puppy, which would be counterproductive and could hurt him. Using short snaps of the leash is a very common method that is used in many forms of dog training in order to communicate to the dog that you are not happy with his behavior. Most dogs really desire to please their master. Once you have proven to your dog that you are more stubborn than he is by being persistent and consistent with training, he will begin to obey you. Now, I would like to point out the most common mistakes in teaching the come command. Teaching the come command can also be much easier if you are aware of some of the more common mistakes that are often made while teaching the come command. These mistakes can delay the training process and make it more difficult, so read on and you will know what to avoid. Perhaps the most common mistake that is frequently made is to provide a reward or treat when the dog has not completed the desired action. We discussed this a bit earlier, and it is critically important. You must absolutely not provide praise or a treat until your dog has actually come all the way to you. In addition, many dog owners also make the mistake of getting angry with their pets when they do not come to them immediately. This type of negative training really does nothing but make your dog fearful of you. Another common mistake that is often made when a dog does not come back immediately is to start running after the dog. If you are training in a public area, there should be no need for this, because if you have your dog on a leash, like what we mentioned earlier, of course. If you are in your own yard, do not make the mistake of running after your dog. He's likely to see this simply as a game and will keep running. You have also just taught him that he does not do as you say, and you will just run after him. That's not exactly the goal of training, of course. Provided you are sure your dog is safe and is not in any imminent danger, you should actually run in the opposite direction of your dog and call him to you. Once he has reached you, you can then provide him with plenty of praise. Moving forward, that concludes the formal part of the presentation about teaching your dog to come when you call it, not when it wants to. Please don't forget to submit your questions in the chat box as well. So, how do you go about implementing all the necessary training strategies for your dog? Sharda's biggest passion in life is helping people care for their dogs, and we believe that no dog owner should have to go through headaches, stress, time, and extravagant expenses to have a good dog that's a great companion. The stress of a misbehaved dog can take its toll on the entire family and home. But don't let that trick you into spending obscene amounts of money on training your pet just to see little results. Are we saying there's no place for professional dog training courses? No, we're not. Of course there are, or they have their benefits. But in the majority of cases, you can train your dog better at home by yourself, and it's quicker, easier, and much less expensive. So if you believe you can train your dog better than anyone else, I present to you the DIY Dog Training Package 2nd Edition. By the way, I forgot to mention a moment ago, and I'm sorry about that. All webinar attendees will be sent a download link to their registration email address to claim their complimentary book on managing the barking dog. And before I went into that, I was at the point of presenting to you the DIY Dog Training Package 2nd Edition. And today we have a special webinar bonus offer for you. Currently, Sharda's 2nd edition of the complete DIY Dog Training Package sells for a special 49% discounted price of $57 until the first 1,000 copies have been sold. This comes with a full 60 days, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. However, today, as a special bonus for our webinar attendees only, we are adding for free the Secrets to Easy Dog Grooming plus audio recordings, Sharda's Dog Allergy Help for Your Best Friend ebook, Sharda's book of tips for the finicky eater and overweight dogs, a further $65.93 of value for free as a thank you to all live webinar attendees. This package has a total value of $178.34, which equates to a massive 68% discount. We are 100% sure that this package will over exceed your expectations and provide the best resources you can find when it comes to at-home dog training. That's why every ebook you will ever receive from Sharda is backed by a 100% no questions asked money back guarantee. If for any reason whatsoever you decide you'd like a refund within the first 60 days, you will immediately be returned your money, no questions asked. So take advantage of our special 57% webinar offer today and get a massive 68% off the package value of $178.34 for the combination of the complete DIY dog training package, plus the special webinar bonuses of the Secrets to Easy Dog Grooming, plus audio recordings, Sharda's Dog Allergy Help for Your Best Friend ebook, and the books or the tips for the finicky eater and overweight dog. Simply click or copy, the URL on the screen and paste it to your browser, and now check out the details. When your purchase is complete, simply send a copy of the ClickBank receipt to webinars@shardabakersdogworld.com for your bonuses, of course. A special download link will be emailed to you, and download the bonus books and audio. Just a minute. We got a note here, and I believe I've just been advised by the support team behind the scenes that we maxed out on the total number of people that the webinar allows. So many of those who registered may not have been able to log on, or maybe the time wasn't suitable for them. So since we are recording this webinar, what we intend to do is make a replay available for all those who registered. To make it fair for all, we will email everyone with a link to the replay and keep the special bonus offer open for 48 hours after it is sent. After 48 hours, the special bonus deal will be withdrawn, so don't delay in placing your order right now. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and this will be the first of what we'll be holding in the next coming weeks and months. Thank you all for attending, and I look forward to seeing you all again on our next dog training webinar next Thursday, November 28th, where we will answer many of the questions we haven't had time to address today and provide more easy-to-follow tips on getting your dog to sit, stay, and lie down. Again, this is Jerry, and we hope you enjoyed today's presentation. Cheers from Sharda and all the team at Sharda Baker's Dog World. Stay safe.
Hi, it's Paul here in the background. I've just wanted to answer a few of those questions that were coming in. We have to shut the webinar down in a few minutes, but there's a couple of questions here which I'd like to reply to. Is there a special chapter about biting and stealing from leader? Yes, there certainly is. That's very well covered in the book, Leader. Are all the ebooks downloadable? Because I'm in Brazil. Yes, they are. So there's no problem with that. It's very easily, they're very easily downloadable off the web. From Mike, is it okay to keep a collar on all the time for a puppy? Will it affect the puppy's hair growth or anything? No, that's no problem, Mike. When we say keep it on all the time, it's only keeping it on during the training process that you need to keep the leash on. There was a few questions came in earlier about the difficulty if you don't keep a leash on the dog all the time. That's only when you're outside training it in your yard, or if you're walking it in the street, you should always have a leash on it. When it's just playing around, then you don't need to keep the leash on. So, but it won't do any harm to the animal's fur or stop the growth of its hair or anything like that. Okay. Yeah, someone asked a question here about the download link for the barking book. We will send that link to the email address that you gave when you registered for the webinar. So that will be done in the next day or so. The support team will send those out. And if you have any other questions, put them into the chat box here now, but we'll be closing the webinar very shortly, in a few minutes. So if you've got any other questions that you want to raise, feel free to send them to that email address on the screen there, webinars@shardabakersdogworld.com. As well as your receipt, you can use that to send any questions to. So just make a note of that email address there before it goes off the screen, for those of you that are still left here. And feel free to send any questions to that. What we'll be doing is we'll be collating all the questions, and then we were on fairly limited time today, so we couldn't do a long Q&A session, but next week on the webinar on Thursday, we will devote the first part of the webinar to answering a lot of the questions that were raised here today. So once again, I just say thank you all for attending. Thanks, Jerry, for your presentation, and we will see you all on the next webinar, hopefully next Thursday, and many more to come.